15 years ago, I stood at a crossroad. Age 40, stable career, the sensible path ahead. And then a single verse from a 2,000-year-old text changed everything. Bhayat bhaya bhavate. It literally means from fear comes greater fear. This is from the Arthashastra. From fear comes greater fear, but from courage comes possibility. I had an idea at the time, not just any idea. I had an idea that I felt could solve a uniquely Indian problem. But launching it meant walking away from everything safe. At an age when society expects you to coast, not climb. That ancient wisdom didn't just inspire me, it dared me. And I took that dare. I returned to India after 2 decades, not to retire, but to start up. Today, India is electric with entrepreneurial energy. Walk onto any campus like this one, and you can feel it buzzing. Your generation isn't waiting for opportunities, it's creating them. In fact, 30% of Indian college students are actively building ventures right now. This is far more than what the number is globally. So very encouraging. But here's what is not. This is what keeps me up at night. 10 years into a venture, 90% of Indian startups have failed, compared to the 65% in the US. 90%. 90%. Why? I know our ecosystem is young, but that's not an excuse. That's an opportunity. Because if we can crack this, we don't just improve incrementally, we improve it exponentially for our success rate to be better. And to do that, I believe the answer is in something that we have had access to all along. The Buddha speaks of Sangha, communities bound not by success, but by the shared pursuit of truth. In the startup ecosystem of today, we have lost this. Every founder is out there making the same mistakes in isolation, burning the same capital, hitting the same walls. We are running parallel experiments with no shared lab notebook. But the Rig Veda teaches us, Ekam sut vipra bahodha vadanti. Truth is one, but the wise speak of it in many ways. What if we created failure sanghas? Structured communities where entrepreneurs share not just their wins, but also their autopsy reports. When a failed founder's learnings about traps becomes required reading for the next wave, where we build institutional memory instead of institutional amnesia. This just isn't feel-good networking. This is strategic intelligence, because every setback contains a seed of someone else's breakthrough, but only if we share it. For this, we need platforms, physical, digital, whatever. We need platforms where failure stories are cataloged, are documented, are indexed, and studied like case studies. Where I shut down last quarter opens up doors instead of closing them. Ancient India also gave us the concept of samsara, the eternal cycle of birth, transformation, death, and rebirth. Nothing ends. Everything evolves. Apply this lens to entrepreneurship. A startup is born with an idea. It lives through execution. Some die, not because the founder failed, but maybe because the timing was wrong, the market wasn't ready, the tech wasn't good enough yet. But here's what our current system does. It punishes that founder, labels them high risk, closes that door. This is madness, because that founder now has something priceless, pattern recognition. They know which mistakes kill companies. They have internalized what pivoting actually feels like. They are not just experienced, they are battle-hardened. What we need is Punarjanma capital, reincarnation capital, funds specifically designed for second, third, fourth time founders, not despite their failures, but because of them. Imagine an investor asking, so how many times have you failed? And the more number of times you answer, the more interested they are to learn from you. The wisdom of samsara isn't about success or failure. It's about iteration. And iteration is how every great company is actually built. We just pretend that it isn't. The Bhagavad Gita speaks of nishkama karma, action without attachment to immediate results. This is also combined with tapasya, the disciplined practice sustained over time. Our startup system has lost this completely. Everyone is chasing the flip, the quick exit, the copycat idea from the West. We are optimizing for investor returns, not impact, for headlines, not solutions. But India's real problems, accessible healthcare, financial inclusion, climate adaptation, water security, these are not solved in 18-month sprint cycles. They require what the ancient texts call abhyas, persistent, disciplined practice over years, even decades. The truth that nobody wants to hear is this, that the startup that finally cracks last mile healthcare delivery, it may take 5 times before it succeeds. The one that solves bioplastics, it might need a decade of patient capital. So we need founders with tapasya, the discipline to work on hard problems without the dopamine hit of quick wins. And we need investors who understand that the highest returns might come from the longest patience. Because here's what this is really about. India doesn't need any more delivery apps. We need solutions to problems that affect hundreds of millions of lives. These problems are complex, far too complex for moonshots. They require experimentation, they require failure, they require founders who can iterate for a decade, and they require an ecosystem that supports all of it. I would like for this to conclude in a way, here's what I would like for you to remember. That wisdom that I have shared today, Sangha, Punarjanma, Tapasya, these aren't just ancient history lessons. They are your competitive advantage. They are survival tools designed as philosophy. Be the founder who shares failures as generously as wins. Be the one who pivots without shame. Be the one who builds for transformation, not transactions. Because that 2,000-year-old verse that pushed me to take this leap, it ends with this quote. Not even for a moment can one exist without taking action. Not even for a moment can one exist without taking action. The fear of not trying, that is the real failure. Your generation has something no generation before you has had. You can access ancient wisdom on your phones while building AI solutions. You can study the Arthashastra while coding at midnight. And you can practice tapasya while iterating on your MVP. So go build, fail forward, iterate fiercely. And remember, you're not just building startups. You're building the new India. And you have 5,000 years of wisdom to guide you. Thank you.